So I'm heading into Caldas da Rainha to do some things, and I got some bike maintenance. I love where we live because we can get to several good size towns very quickly. I mean, they're really close by car. Even by bicycle it doesn't take that long, and they're all very unique and very nice, with lots of facilities and things. So it's very convenient, and then we can drive to the beach in 15 minutes. And the climate is good. So it's the middle of summer, and it's about 22 degrees here Celsius. You get the oh, that gate's locked. Oh no, I can go that way. You get the air conditioning from the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah, I think that's open. So it's never really too hot, where it's like California. You go 20 miles to the east and it's hot, really hot. But if you stay near the coast, it's cool and sometimes foggy, but you know, you get a lot of nice sunny days. That's the beauty of the microclimate here. That's one of the reasons why we chose this place and not another place. It's reasonable to live here. If you want the city, you can easily go to Lisbon and Leiria and Coimbra and Porto. They're just not far. So it's also easy to get places in those cities if you need an urban pad. That's your thing. Not hard to do. And yeah, the whole Portugal is right at the tip of your fingers. So yeah, Caldas da Rainha is a really nice town in the Silver Coast region. Several lovely parks, lots of sports facilities, events, culture. They have a cultural center, they have theater, music, arts. They have an art school here. All your car dealerships, shopping mall, multiplex movie theater, all the stuff Americans would expect. But not too big. People are nice generally. Not so crazy busy. And you know, downtown Lisbon is 50 minutes away. Not a big deal. I used to take a train from Tongchong to Central that was over 30 minutes. You know? And I used to commute from Kamakura to Tokyo, which was a long trip. But we don't commute, we just go there when we feel like it and stay and hang out with friends. Same thing in Porto. And lots of beach areas. Foz do Areia, São Martinho de Porto, really famous, Nazaré, Peniche, all of it's really close. So if you want to, you know, enjoy a variety of things, it's a good region. I was watching Daniel Schmachtenberger addressing a crowd at an event for healthcare, in particular AI in healthcare, big data, technology in healthcare, and also the human aspect of healthcare and how those have to be integrated to provide better health outcomes and services to people. Oh, wouldn't it be nice if it happened? But we just need time, man. We need time. So we have to fix some things. And Daniel Schmachtenberger had some serious mic drop moments. Somebody would ask him a question, and he would give a pretty long answer, weaving together information from 15 different domains rapidly, very eloquently, and it's hard to keep up, I think, for most people who don't engage in multiple domain thinking, holistic thinking, or, entertaining a big picture by trying to have some understanding of complex domains. So I'm just driving this way to show you this market here in Caldas da Rainha. This is our farmers market. Guess I could go down here. Anyway, they have all these stalls here. Very, very nice. And these are like comprehensive answers with an eye towards successfully solving problems that lead to better outcomes for people, as opposed to ideological rants. For a lot of ideologues in the political space, intellectualism is just a toy, and they like to play with it. But they don't really have skin in the game, and they really don't care if their enemies get obliterated. And they're fairly dogmatic, myopic, and careless. But, they pretend to care to the degree that it won't alienate potential new converts. And so these guys, Jamie Wheel, Schmachtenberger, and so on, they're different. They actually, they work hard in their consulting business to try to help their clients solve problems, and in doing so try to improve things in the world. Now, if improving things in the world is some kind of rampant neo-Marxist progressivism, then whatever. Words matter. Yeah. But the fact is, the technology is coming. Nothing's going to stop it. Another thing I was thinking when I was riding over here is, without petrochemical-based products and oil, how are you going to maintain the roads? So regardless of how much you love your truck and the highway and the freedom of being on your Harley on the open road, roads aren't going to be the way they are in 20 years. It's just not going to happen. It's not sustainable, and it's going to change. And you're probably going to have to give up your freedom to kill somebody with your car or get killed in your car for other modes of transportation that are safer and more efficient and more sustainable. Not so much fun, right? Maybe if you live in the countryside, you can have a little electric car that buzzes around and you can enjoy driving. But having roads everywhere and roadkill and using up so much energy on the road. I love to travel, I love to move around, but when I was living in Asia, a lot of times I didn't have a car. I used a bicycle or the public transportation that was available, and in almost every one of those cities, they had plenty of good public transportation. So it wasn't a problem, it wasn't an inconvenience, and I felt really happy to be able to go out and see the people and connect with people on the street and enjoy that whole experience. Not being cut off from the culture and the society. Looks like they're gonna do some other, maybe they had a concert. It's probably, yeah, they had a concert. In July, every town across Portugal has a festival or a fair. So you can just spend endless days going from one to another. And if you're driving from your home to a festival, you go through 3 or 4 festivals. So if you're inclined to want to participate, you can. You know, I think if I were a lot younger, I'd be definitely participating. So things are going to change whether you like it or not. And of course, by the time they have changed, you will think that you knew it was coming all along. You'll adopt it, and you'll probably feel quite comfortable with the way things are, the new way things are. So that's unavoidable. But in the meantime, you have all your internet intelligentsia screaming and yelling that there's only one way to do things. Or this is terrible, bad, and it's going to kill the universe, and this is perfectly wonderful, and all you have to do is come on board. And this just isn't a good way to think about things, because it just isn't reality. It doesn't reflect the way things really work. But facts, data, information, truth, good reasoning, logic, none of this stuff is that compelling. Like I've talked about before, stories are much more interesting, and if your story is a bummer, not interesting, no fun, nobody's going to care about it. They'd rather believe in Q. It's a lot more exciting. Or some other anon thing, or conspiracy theory, because it's fun. It's exciting. Dungeons and Dragons. You can exercise your imagination. So fact-based, science-based, reasonable, sensible folks have to become fiction writers. They have to invent stories that are compelling and interesting and kind of move people in a direction that's going to be healthy for them. Of course, that's your judgment, right? So anybody can say, any ideologue can say, well, I know that. I'm going to use art and music and poetry and sculpture and storytelling to get people to become fascist and adopt my particular dictator because he loves me so much, or my God, or my theories. And we're going to use that because we already know the absolute truth. And technology is like, you know, the Chinese emperor saying, I don't need your little trinkets and toys. We have everything. We don't need your stuff. Get the hell out. We're not going to trade with you. We don't need your manufacturers. Back in the day, and then England figured out a way to get over on that by getting the population addicted to opium, because they were running out of silver to buy stuff from China that everybody wanted. You don't think that something like that's going to happen again? I mean, it's already happening. So if Saudi Arabia wants to maintain its wealth and development, it's going to have to change the way it does things. one way or another. And maybe the king or the prince or whatever is wise enough to go down that road. But in the meantime, he's going to milk the oil and gas business for everything he can get out of it, because it would make no sense not to. Because he wants to make money for his people and maintain their power and their necessary function in the global scheme of things, all things powerful and economic. So yeah, it's gonna happen, and you know, we may not have any ability to affect anything, but on a very personal level, you can at least think about how you want to live in this world. And whether being around good, honest people who don't bury you in bullshit, is important to you. And having a sense that there is a future that might be better than the past. Like, even if you're some feudal tenant farmer, you don't care because you're so ignorant. You're living hand to mouth. But if you're an immigrant to the United States in the 1960s or 70s, you're thinking, my kids are going to have a better life. They're going to have it better than I had it. They're going to have more opportunities. They're going to have more. You know? What the heck is wrong with that? Oh, it's progressive. You know, I don't want them to have more. We have the smart people, the technocrats and the nobles. Anybody who knows enough to keep the king smart. But, you know, it's nonsense. Of course, you know, crowds can be stupid. It's obvious because advertising is so effective. Manufacturing consent is so damn easy. Manufacturing consent is so easy. So, of course, people are easily manipulated, and then they can become collectively insane and do really stupid stuff. Democracy isn't easy. Kaizen isn't easy. Top down, bottom up leadership, or, you know, organizations, none of it's easy. So you can hate Rousseau and love Nietzsche, but you know, these people were talking about aspects of reality that they saw and participated with, and they're worth knowing. It's worth knowing what these folks think, because they're far from nutty people. That's the best hotel in town. Sana Silver Coast Hotel. So, yeah, you can write them off, or you can spin it, you know, refuse to see certain aspects of Rousseau and focus on the stuff that you can use as a straw man to bolster your ideology. Or you can just take it for what it is and say, guy was pretty switched on. Interesting fella. I disagree with this, that, and the other thing, because I don't see how that would work in our particular situation. And I think you should engage with all kinds of thinkers on that basis rather than just writing them off. Is there any truth to Douglas bell curve? I mean Murray's bell curve. Is there anything there to Sewell's perspective on things? Wow, this is not easy to go up there again. I'm gonna have to break the law. Anarchy. Yeah, so of course there is. These people see things in a different way, and some of their sight is clearly insightful and interesting and correct. But is it going to work in a given situation? Like when you're a method actor and you say, what would I do if I were this character in these particular circumstances, with these particular relationships, and with this particular background, and so on? And actors make, realistic characters. That's their craft. So if you're a dogmatist and you believe that there's only one form of Christianity that's right, or Hinduism or whatever, I guess there's only one Hinduism. I don't know enough, but there are lots of sects of Christianity. You have to spend a lot of time refuting various points in these other schools to bolster your point of view. That's a lot of work. If that's what you want to do with your time, it's all good. But oh, that's a nice little cafe there. So I would say engage with as many thoughtful, considerate, intelligent people as you can. You'll see the charlatans, the people who are just in it for egotistical reasons, or for money or career reasons. It'll become clear fairly quickly. And other people, you'll sense in them a certain kind of sincere, deep affection for humanity and for everything in this world that allowed our humanity to evolve to this point. We're not saints. We're far from perfect. But we do really beautiful things, and we are all humans, so we have that in common, don't we? Now this place, man, this square has many nice restaurants. And D'Italia is a good Italian one, but this Capellania del Monte down here is a really good steak restaurant. You walk by that place and you smell the steak and you're like, oops, oh no, I gotta go in there. And then this place, La Piazza, is a really good Italian and pizzeria place. The whole menu is good, so if I lived in town, I'd probably eat here often until I went through the whole menu. And then there's a bunch of little tabernas, other stuff. So in the evenings, it's quite busy and fun. All the cool people hanging out. Engage them honestly with an open mind, and use your intuition and your particular olfactory abilities. See if they pass the test, and go as deeply as you want to into their thought, as deeply as you think is appropriate for your needs. And eventually, all the one-way streets, so eventually you'll probably piece together a worldview that allows you to be more flexible and to develop your own thinking continually, so that life doesn't get boring and you don't get stupid. And then as things shift and change, you can kind of see what's coming, like Ray Dalio does on a macro investor level, and make smart decisions about your life that give you the chance to live better, healthier, longer, wealthier lives. And maybe someday our culture will be like, real friendships matter again, real people matter again, not just drinking buddies and internet for acquaintances. But I appreciate all the kinds of people that I've discovered on the internet, and as long as it's up and running, I'm going to use it. So I want to go down this one street before I shut this off, because it's nice. So this is your kind of typical larger town, but not big city type place in Portugal. There are many. It's a very densely European place. There are lots of villages and towns. Like I've said before, they all have their own churches and their own sport clubs and whatever. Because, in the old days, Europe liked to have that sense of community. It was important. People mattered. People in your town mattered. Nowadays, it's like, I live in a city, I need a lot of money to live here. Who's useful to me? Who can I use? Who's going to help me make more money? Pay the rent, pay the mortgage, buy the cool car. What do I have to do to signal that I'm a cool person so that I can get their help, get their business? If you're a little bit closer to like survival or really needing people to do things, you have a different sense of society and life with people. So eventually the robots are going to come, and a lot of people are going to be looking for a different way to make a living. Whatever that is. AI's coming for your job, there's no doubt about it. So you're going to have to think about, what are my kids going to do that in the future? And it's so hard because things shift quick. And we have a bunch of time bombs, and we need all these Jack Bauers out there who are going to swoop in at the last moment and defuse the bomb and save the world. Some people think it's aliens, some people think it's Jesus, some people think it's Elon Musk. But the game chugs along because it works for certain people, and they've created the rules for a certain game that works for them. And it's hard to change the rules of a game when it's working for you. And of course, just demonstrating or starting movements or writing a book or making a movie isn't going to change anything. In time, circumstances dictate that you change your behaviors because you have to. And then you start looking to the people like Buckminster Fuller, who was writing in the 60s and 70s and saying, well, he had some good ideas, good intuitions back then, the old man. Maybe it's time to do that totally integrated smart grid thing so that we can use our energy sources more efficiently. Could be. I wanted to say that all over in Portugal they have these hyper China, these Chinese shops. They're owned by Chinese people. Maybe it's like this big, government financed thing where immigrants from China can come and start these China shops, and they have all these, stuff. Plates, glasses, tools, stuff for your car, plastic bits, things that you need. And so, and it's cheap. It's cheaper, right? And it also, the quality can be good or bad, but you can get what you need. You can get some skin cream, shampoo, garden stuff for your pet, for your baby. And they're all in these Chinese shops. Now, if that ends, what are you going to do? What replaces all those little things, all that stuff you need in your house? There it is, Hyper China, you see? So there's tons of these in every town, in every city in Portugal and across Europe, and it's the logistics, the container ships, the oil that allows it to happen. And of course, just the shipping, structure, where the big ports are, and the logistics, wow, so intense. And Americans, depend on all this stuff. They don't know. And if they didn't like it, they didn't want it to happen, why did they just sit back and do nothing? And then blame it all on the government, which, the government's not the best in the universe, but, if you really want to live under a system like Xi Jinping, I'm reading a book on China now. I've read a lot of them, but this one's younger journalist, younger lady from Hong Kong. And it's good to see what the young people experience, because I first went to China, it was 1980, and my thinking is different, I guess, but she still has a lot of good points. And you really want to live in a nanny state where Xi Jinping and the CCP determine, what your children can do and not do. It's a balance between public safety and all kinds of things, and civil liberties and freedoms. But if people really want to do that in the States, they can try and see how they like it. It'll be a disaster, because we need a coordinated international response to certain things if we want to maintain this level of wealth and security in the world. I don't think any of us would have lived that long had we lived a couple hundred years ago, We would have been killed in a war, or we would have died of a disease or an accident. They didn't have trauma centers. Okay, I'm done. I'll stop this part of the video. So, thank you for listening. William T. out.